And here's the Osage River, if you don't know where that is. This is obviously the modern Osage River with man-made reservoirs built into it. I couldn't find a good map that predated all the Lake of the Ozarks and all that kind of stuff. But you can see that the tributaries come from Kansas, and the Osage eventually flows into the Missouri in Osage County, just downstream from Jeff City. So that was Osage territory. You see here, this is actually a map of the watershed of the Osage. You see Springfield is right. You remember I mentioned in the last class, I mentioned the spine of the Ozarks. Springfield is on that spine. It's in a neat place. It's on the dividing line between the watersheds. If you're south of Springfield, or the south part of Springfield, the water hits the ground and heads to the south and heads to the White River watershed. North of Springfield, it goes to the Osage watershed. So the water, pretty close water, rain falling, and it goes in opposite directions. It's because we're on that spine, we're on that high ground. So it's got to go somewhere, and we're sort of up on a crest here in Springfield. The Osages, like pretty much all of the Native Americans who found themselves crowded out by white settlement, signed a treaty, this one in 1808. It's referred to as the Treaty of Fort Clark, or sometimes the Treaty of Fort Osage. You'll see it used in that way sometime. But whichever treaty, it was the same one, and it was signed in 1808. And in this treaty, the Osages gave up most of the land in the Ozarks that they controlled. Now, you can certainly, they didn't necessarily have the same idea of giving up their land that the Americans did, who got them to sign the treaty. The Osages continued to hunt on this land as they had before, but that would eventually cause problems. They would eventually start wars with the Cherokees. We'll talk about the Cherokees coming into this same region later on. They fought with white settlers all the way to the outskirts of St. Louis. And so you can debate on just what their intentions were. But Fort Clark was on the Missouri River about 20 miles east of Kansas City, and they drew a line just straight down to the Arkansas River for the Missouri River, and everything east of that line, the U.S. government claimed as the remnants from the Treaty of Fort Clark. And then in later years, in 1818 and 1825, there were subsequent treaties signed with the Osages. And this is usually how it happened. The U.S. government would sign a series of treaties, eventually pushing the American Indians off of whatever land it was that they claimed and that the American government and American settlers wanted. And that's what happened here. They eventually pushed them out, moved them into Kansas and then down into Indian Territory, but not before lots of fighting and hard feelings as well. Some artist depictions of Osage warriors.